you guys. Great to see you guys. My name's Austin, and we are excited to be here with you guys tonight. Married Life Live. If you guys are ready to have a great time tonight, make some noise. Okay, simmer down. I always want to do that. That's enough noise. I got 2 young kids. They don't listen. Appreciate you guys just doing that for us tonight. Well, hey, you know, we love getting to be a part of these events, and my wife and I, we attend every time. We normally sit with Nate and Julie over there, and it's just so much fun to be together, sitting in these new comfy chairs, just listening to Jonathan and Wendy tell us things, important things. And we have the unique privilege every time of coming in here and they say, hey, we need like a really great song that's just gonna inspire people to just love each other. And I was like, well, there's a lot of songs that do that. So we just decided to do all of them tonight. So if you know it, sing along quickly, because we're gonna be moving on to the next one. So you're really gonna have to like sing proud as soon as you get it. My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. And I won't hesitate no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. If I could, then I would. I go wherever you will go. She will be loved.
Standing right here waiting at your back door all this time. How could you not know?
It's like baby, 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 ooh. It's like baby, 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 ooh. When a man loves a woman,
Wherever you
if no one is around you, say, baby, I love you. Double time. You're the meaning to my life. You're the inspiration. Bring meaning to my life. You're my inspiration.
Everyone knows I'm in over my head. I can't fight this feeling anymore. I've forgotten what I started fighting for.
Take on me. Take me home. I'll be gone for a day or two.
Every rose has its thorn. It's like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song.
Yeah, it's too late to apologize. It's too late. Now, bop, da ba, bop, da ba, bop, da ba, do.
If I was a boy,
How deep is your love?
I think I would understand.
I wanna hold your hand. Now we're about to find out where all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Now put your hands up. Anybody? No?
Yikes.
It's a marriage event. Just wondering. We should have said all the single fellas for Jacqueline, right?
No.
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. Uptown girl, she's been living in a white brick world. I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more. Hey, and I will always it's done.
Awesome. Great job, Jacqueline.
Wow, that was awesome.
That was awesome. Don't you guys appreciate the band and production team? They do such, just the band and the production team, they do such a great job.
Yeah, I love working with these guys so much.
Can I be honest with you for a second?
Sure, yeah.
You're
just us.
Yeah, I can be vulnerable. The trouble is I'm always forgetting their names.
Well, that's understandable because
Really?
it seems to me they give these band members just strange names, you know?
Like funny names?
Like
or
pet names, like nicknames.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, what we should do, you should catch me up.
Okay.
Because, and everybody else too. Because I'll see them in the hallways and stuff after. I can tell them good job, all that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, who was playing bass?
Exactly. Who's on bass? What's on drums? And I don't know's on guitar.
Jonathan, that's what I'm trying to find out.
I said, I just told you. Who's on bass? What's on drums? And I don't know's on guitar.
Okay, aren't you the guy who works with these people all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, you see them in the hallways. You see them on stage all the time.
Sure I do.
You don't know the fellas' names?
Well, I should.
Okay, well then who's on bass?
Exactly.
The guy playing bass.
Who?
The bass player.
Who?
The guy over there that was playing.
That's the guy's name.
That's whose name?
Exactly.
Wait, no, would you just go ahead and tell me?
Well, that's it.
That's who?
Yes.
No, okay, look. Some of the people up here are staff and contractors, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, was the bass player one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you pay off the bass player at the end of every month,
Yeah.
who gets the money?
Every dollar of it.
All I'm trying to figure out is the fellow's name on the bass, Jonathan.
Who?
The guy with the bass.
That's it.
What do you mean that? Okay. Who actually gets the money?
He does, every dollar of it. Sometimes his wife comes and picks it up.
Whose wife?
Exactly, and what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? I don't understand. Jonathan, what I'm trying to get from you is when you sign up the bass player, right? Like, hey,
Right.
who's gonna play bass this week?
Of course,
When
yeah.
he signs up, how does he sign his name?
Who?
The guy.
Who?
The guy that, how does
Well,
he
that's
sign?
how he signs it.
That's how who signs it?
Exactly.
No, I'm trying to figure out what's the guy's name on bass.
No, what's on drum?
I'm not asking you who's on drums.
No, who's on bass?
One instrument at a time.
Well,
Why are you?
Don't be mixing the guys
I'm
around.
not mixing anybody.
Okay,
You're-
listen, calm down. It's not that big a deal.
You got a PhD, you think you'd figure this out. Okay. I am asking you, who's the guy running bass?
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, what's the guy's name on bass?
What's on drums?
I'm not asking you who's on drums.
Who's on bass?
I don't know.
Now that's the guitar player. We haven't even started talking about him yet.
Now wait a minute. How did I get to guitar?
Well, you mentioned his name.
If I mentioned the guitarist's name, I said who was playing guitar.
Who's on bass?
I'm not asking you who's on bass. Okay, what is on bass?
What's on drums?
No, I don't know.
I told you that's guitar.
How did I get to guitar again? Okay, can we just one instrument maybe at a time?
Okay.
We just stay on guitar.
Okay, so what do you want to know?
And don't get off guitar. Okay.
I'm not going to get off guitar. What do you want to know?
Okay, who's playing the guitar?
Now, why do you insist on putting who on guitar?
What am I putting on guitar?
What's on drums?
You don't want who on drums?
No, who's on bass?
I don't know.
That's guitar.
Guitar.
Yeah.
I was supposed to say guitar when I said I don't know. Okay, let's forget that, okay? What about, you have a production team, right? They
Sure we
helped
do.
with that song just a minute
we do.
ago. Okay, all right. The sound guy's name.
Why?
I just thought I would ask.
Well, I just thought I would tell you.
Okay, so who's running the sound?
Okay, who's playing bass?
I am not on the stage. Stay off the stage. I don't care about the stage. Okay, I want to know, what's the guy's name on the soundboard?
What's on drums?
I'm not asking you who's on drums.
Who's on bass?
I don't know. Guitar.
Guitar.
Oh, guitar. The sound guy's name.
Why?
Because.
No, he runs lights.
What? Okay. Does the production team have someone that's in charge of the video, pro presenter, that kind
Video,
of?
sure, yeah.
Okay, you want to tell me that person's name?
Tomorrow.
You don't want to tell me today?
I just did.
Well, go ahead.
Tomorrow.
Fine, what time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow you're gonna tell me who's running video?
Now listen, who is not running video?
Jonathan, I will break your arm. You say who's on bass. Okay? I want to know what's the guy's name that runs the video.
What's on drums?
I don't know. Guitar. Get that little look in your eye when you say guitar. Okay, there's a stagehand for the crew, right?
Certainly.
Okay, the stagehand's name.
Today.
You
got
okay,
it.
so today and tomorrow's on video.
You've got it.
Okay, all I've got is a couple days on this team. Okay, okay, I tell you what, Jonathan, I used to help on stage.
So they tell me.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's just imagine, okay, little role playing with the
I love role play. Go for it.
therapist. Okay, all right, so here's the thing. Let's just pretend that I volunteer to help on the New Spring production team as a stagehand.
Good.
Okay? Now, here's the thing. Tomorrow's running video,
Right.
and we have a transition coming up. So they're gonna play the video, and me being a good stagehand, I'm gonna grab the bass. I'm gonna put it out on stage for the bass player. So I pick up the bass, and I set it out for who?
And that's the first right thing you've said all day.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's all you have to do.
What, they just have to set out the bass? That's
Yeah.
it. Okay, well, if I set the bass out, somebody's got to get it. Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
No, I'm saying someone has to pick it up and play it. Who plays it?
Naturally.
Okay, who?
Naturally.
Naturally. Okay, why don't we just start there? All right, so me being a good stagehand, I take the bass out to be played by naturally.
No, that's not right.
Yes, I did.
But you didn't say it right.
I set out the bass to be played by naturally.
No, you set the bass to be played by who?
Naturally.
Right, there you go.
That's what I said.
But you keep not saying it right.
I set out the bass for naturally.
No, you said it to be played by who?
Naturally.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
Okay, well listen, you asked me.
Okay, I would set out the bass for who?
Naturally.
Yeah, okay, that's what I said. Okay, you asked me.
So you set out the bass to be played by who?
Naturally.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I said. I said it the same as you, except I just didn't have the button collar. Okay. Whatever, I set out the bass to be played by whoever it is gonna keep good time being a bass player with the drums, right? So who's gonna play right along with what keeps good time for I don't know on guitar? It's all caught on video thanks to Tomorrow and lit up well thanks to Because. Why? I don't know. He's on guitar and I don't give a darn.
What?
I said I do not give a darn.
No, that's the video guy right
What
there.
are you talking?
Well, hey everybody, did you have fun with that? They should go on the road with that, I think. My name is Wendy, and I am so excited that all of you guys are here tonight. It's chilly outside. It finally feels like fall. I know some of you really like that. We're so excited that you guys are all here. I hope you have a blast. I know you will the rest of the evening. Hey, I want to talk about one thing real quick. I want to let you guys know that the Kansas City Marriage Retreat is coming up June 2nd through the 4th in 2023. Now, you might think I'm a little crazy for telling you about it now, but we are more than 50% booked already. So we are gonna have an amazing time. If you haven't seen the slides yet, you can actually register and hold your spot with $100 all the way through the end of December 31st. Hopefully there will be spots left if you wait that long. And then you can pay as you go. So it's gonna be a great time. We just can't wait. Mark and Mary Alice are actually gonna be joining us this year, and they will be one of the speaker sets that talk to us. So I know you guys are gonna really enjoy that. Well, hey, I always like doing giveaways, so I am ready to do one now. What do you think about that? All right, okay, well, hey, this is our 2nd year anniversary of Married Life Live. I feel a little weird up here by myself without Jonathan here. I'm used to having him up here with me, but we are so excited for that anniversary. I'm a little excited because Jonathan and I will have been married 20 years on November 25th. Thank you. We haven't killed each other yet, right? And so we're super excited about celebrating that 20-year anniversary. And I just am curious if we have anybody else in the room who is celebrating a 20-year anniversary this year. If we have anybody, it can be in any month. If you are celebrating 20 years of marriage this year in 2022, will you stand up? Is there anybody in here? Come on, be brave. Nobody? So it's all either more or less. Oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared for this one. All right, well, let's do this. If you have, what? Is somebody standing that I'm missing? I can't see. The tech guy? Who's that waving? Way up there in this. All right, you guys. Hey, guess what, tech guy? You guys win 2 free Married Life Live t-shirts. Come see me afterwards, okay? Awesome. All right, well, we are so excited that you guys are here. There's lots more fun to come. Take a look at this video.
I messed up. So I told her, you got a mirror, you can see what you look like in those jeans.
You need to use your words. You know, romantic words.
Oh. Wait, what?
You take your wife by her hands and you just pour into her. You look her in the eyes and you say to her, you mean everything to me. And I would let go of everything if it means that I just get to hold you for the rest of my life. What are you doing?
I'm calling my wife, and you are gonna tell me some pretty words to say to her.
We are not doing this.
Hey, babe. No, don't hang up, don't hang up. I was an idiot, and I know you said some things too. You shouldn't have.
You don't say that.
That's what I meant. I meant I have some things to say to you. She said I have 2 minutes. What do I say? What do I say?
I'm sorry.
For what? No, you tell her that. I'm sorry. Babe? She's still there. I can hear her breathing.
Tell her I love you and you mean everything to me, and I am a fool because I don't tell you that more often.
I'm a fool for loving you, and I should say that stuff more often.
You are the greatest blessing God has ever given me, and you are perfect for me.
Babe, you're the best thing God ever did for me. You're perfect. For me, you're perfect. You're not perfect.
What are you doing? Just tell me what to say. Sunsets are more beautiful when you are on the horizon.
You're more beautiful at sunset on the horizon. It totally worked.
What a moron.
You were great.
I know, right?
The words you said, I heard. I had no idea.
Seriously? You had no idea that some women fall for that stuff? I'm just glad you're not that gullible. By the way, what's for dinner? I've messed up.
Use your words, my friend.
All right. Communication can be difficult, and it can be a lot of fun too. So if you couldn't tell, we're talking about communication tonight. We're back for a rematch. If you were here for pre-service, you saw we had the Newlyweds versus the Oldyweds, the 7 years or younger married versus the 8 years or more married. It ended in a tie. So we're gonna do a game to break that tie. And also, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anybody that would like the chance to win either their choice between $100 at the New Spring store or 50% off the marriage retreat, which is like a $300 value. So here's what we need. I need somebody 7 years or younger married, a couple 7 years or younger married. Right there, yes, right there. Give it up for, yep, your husband volunteered you. Congratulations. And then we need someone that's been married 8 years or more. 8 years or more? You brave? Yep, come on up. Yeah, give them a big round of applause. You can come right over here. If you get down here today, sorry, I don't mean today as in impatiently, I mean today to our stagehand. That's what I was talking, sorry, that was confusing. And then they're gonna come out here, so give a big round of applause as they come out. This is a very simple game. Our Newlyweds, come right over here. Oh, and our Oldyweds, come, you just cross for me. There you go. Newlyweds on this side, Oldyweds on this side, it's all tied up. grab your mics today, okay? No, there you go. No, I meant like from today. Okay, all right, so here we go. We got Newlyweds, we got Oldyweds. This game is called Just Say, okay? The object of the game is you just have to say the right words, okay? The right words. What's gonna happen is up here on the screen is going to come one word in that white box. Now, you have to be honest. We're asking for honesty here. One of you, the guesser, has to look away from the wall and the screens. You will give the clues, and you have to get him to say the word in the white box. Now, you can't obviously say the word that's in the white box or any form of it, okay? So if it's like Star Wars, you can't say star, you can't say wars. It can be that movie you make me watch, that's fine, but it can't be Star Wars, okay? Does that make sense? Very simple. The most amount of words you can get in 30 seconds is how many points you get. We're gonna let both of you guess and both of you give the clues. Sarah, does it matter where I start? We're gonna start over here. Okay, I think that's what she said. Sure, okay, so we're gonna start with our Newlyweds. Let's go ahead and meet them. Who do we have up here today? What's your name?
Jonathan.
Everybody say hi, Jonathan. And then right here we have
Bree.
Jonathan, Bree, they're fantastic. I know that they help in the wire, so they're really cool. They do a great job. But Jonathan and Bree, you guys are gonna, Jonathan, you're gonna have to guess first. Bree, you're gonna have to give clues first. I believe in you. We'll have 30 seconds on the clock. Again, Jonathan, you can't see the screens, correct?
I cannot.
Okay, can't see the screens. We're playing for a $300 value here, the prize. Here we go. Let's go, 3, 2, 1.
Time, ticking, seconds. Yes.
Clock, yes, she said it. There you go.
Cover it up, keep you warm.
Jacket.
It's on
Coat.
your bed.
A blanket.
Yes, there we go.
I'm scared of them. They dress funny. They're
Clowns.
Yes.
Clown, yes, perfect. There you go.
Goes oink oink pink.
Pigs.
Yes, there we go.
You sit at it all day.
Chair.
But it's the thing you sit at.
Desk.
Yes.
There you go.
You put your head on it at night.
Bed. Pillow.
Yes. And in the sky.
Sun.
There we go. Good job. Give him a round of applause. 6 words. I don't think Sun quite made it in under the buzzer. Good job. Way to go, Jonathan. I love that Bree said, I'm scared of them. Clowns. Clowns. It's clowns. That's fantastic. That's great. Good job. 6 is a great number. Yesterday we played with the band and they got like 2. So, okay. You guys will do great. Who do we have over here for our oldie-wed couples?
Kevin
and
Amanda.
Kevin and Amanda, that is awesome. Kevin and Amanda, you guys are gonna be guessing. Kevin, you're gonna be guessing first, okay? Make sure you can't, I'll have you just turn this way, face her, there you go. And she can see the square. You can't see the screen or the wall, right? Okay, perfect. Kevin, you're gonna be guessing. Hold that mic up nice and close so she can hear you. My wife's gotta be the one to give you the all clear, okay? And I should tell you, if you say the word, it'll buzz you and move to the next one, okay? But there's no penalty points. All you have to do is beat 6 in 30 seconds. Let's hear it for the Oldyweds, everybody. Married 8 years or more. They just have that natural train of thought. They just know what each other's are saying. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
You wipe this when you go to the bathroom.
Nope. I cannot help you, sir.
It's on a roll. Charmin.
Oh, toilet paper.
There we go. Okay.
It's not a girl, but a
Boy.
There you go.
water. You can put a straw in it. Aquafina.
Bottled water.
There you go. Yep, bottle. We got
It's not softball, baseball, but Chiefs.
Football.
football. Yeah.
It's not.
Okay, that's 0. That is our time. Give it up for the Oldyweds. Now, you only got 4, but you won in more ways than I can say. So, that first one, you dodged so many bullets, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. I enjoy my job, and for a minute, it was close. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and switch it. Bree, you will be guessing. Jonathan, you're gonna be giving the clues. Okay, you have a commanding lead. You're up by 2, but it's still anybody's game. We'll see how well you do at the end of 30 seconds, and then we'll switch it around for the Oldyweds and see if they can catch up. Okay, are we ready? Newlyweds, give these guys a big round of applause. Here we go, 3, 2, 1.
You pick up trash with it. Like they come by and pick it
A
up.
truck?
Second word.
Garbage man?
No, it's
Garbage truck.
No, similar word.
Oh.
It's you pick it up and you.
A dump truck.
There we go.
Okay.
Not water, but opposite of water.
Soda?
No, opposite
Fire?
of water. Not
Fire.
Yes, fire.
Yes, there you go. Fire, got it.
You take food in it to work.
Lunch. Leftovers.
No, you had the first word. Same. Keep going.
Yeah, okay, good job. Give him a round of applause.
Oh.
That was great. That was great. I did not know the opposite of water was soda, and now I do. And that makes total sense. I'm gonna stop drinking. Okay, all right. You guys are good. You're only down by 4. It's anybody's game. And I'm sorry, remind me of your name again.
Amanda.
Amanda and Kevin. Kevin, you've got this. Hopefully it's easier for you this time giving the clues. You don't have to worry about any of the words. Amanda, you'll do a great job guessing because you'll say anything. No,
apparently.
I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go. 30 seconds. You got to catch up by 4. Here we go. Are we ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1.
School.
Elementary.
They
Playground.
they
Recess.
students, and they learn from
Teachers.
There we go. Teacher, you got it.
Vanilla.
Ice cream. Pudding.
What's it in?
Ice cream.
What's
A
the
bottle.
What's it in that you can eat it too?
Ice cream.
You can.
Bean.
What do you put the ice cream in?
A bowl. Cone.
Yes.
There we go. We'll give it to him. Yeah, 6 day. Way to go. Give him a round of applause. It was amazing. That was awesome. Good job. I'll take those for you. I love. Did you say ice cream comes in a bottle sometimes? Is that? Hey, but sometimes it could. Maybe it should. That's more portable than a cone. All right, give it up for Amanda and Kevin. Guys, get something from the coffee shop. That is awesome. You can have a seat. One more time for our oldie weds. Newlyweds, you won it. If anybody was gonna guess, I wouldn't have said the newlyweds know how to communicate, so that's great. But we're all gonna learn something tonight. You guys get a choice. You can have 50% off the marriage retreat if you can go, or there's $100 in Newsweek store. What would you choose?
Take the retreat.
The retreat, give it up for the retreat coupon. That is awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Bree. One more time, give these guys a round of applause. That's awesome. You guys can head off stage. Jonathan and Wendy will be out in just a few minutes to have a great talk on communication. So I know you guys will look forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you guys have had a great time. Check this out.
Well, if you've been at Married Life Live for multiple of these events, you know we pick a theme every time we do this. We do Married Life Live 4 times a year, and we pick a theme. Sometimes they're themes that we don't necessarily speak on very often or address very often. Tonight's the opposite of that. We're always talking about this topic. It's a huge thing for us that we talk about wherever we go, wherever we're helping couples, and that's communication.
Yep.
Such an important deal.
Yeah, it's the number one thing that couples come in to see us or other therapists or counselors about is communication.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I always kind of get a kick out of that when they say we have communication problems, because they don't mean they have speaking problems. If they had problems speaking, they would go see a speech therapist. And they don't mean they have listening problems. If they had that, they'd go see somebody about getting hearing aids. Actually, what they mean is we have understanding problems. We don't have the kinds of understandings that we need, and when we try to reach those understandings, we run into roadblocks. And so that's what we want to talk about tonight, because having great communication means having a great relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, the truth of the matter is, we know each other pretty well. I mean, we learn something new almost every day in this road called life. But you guys probably know each other pretty well too. But even as well as we know our spouses, sometimes it can just be really difficult to communicate.
I mean, we can just take a vote from the guys in the room. Like, how many guys in the room have completely figured your wife out? 100%. You figured everything out about her there is to know.
Oh, I saw one.
I was waiting. I was like, that's a whole new game for next time.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But it's tough to figure out your spouse. In fact, you found a little story having to do with some journal entries about trying to figure out your spouse.
Yeah, so here's the ladies' journal entry, okay? Tonight, my husband was acting weird. We had made plans to meet at a nice restaurant for dinner. Conversation wasn't flowing, so I suggested that we go somewhere quiet so we could talk. He agreed, but he didn't say much. I asked him what was wrong. He said nothing. I asked him if it was my fault that he was upset. He said he wasn't upset, that it had nothing to do with me and not to worry about it. On the way home, I told him that I loved him. He smiled slightly and kept on driving. When we got home, he just sat there quietly and watched TV. He continued to seem distant and absent. Finally, with silence all around us, I just decided to go to bed. About 15 minutes later, he came to bed, but I still felt that he was distracted and his thoughts were somewhere else. He fell asleep. I don't know what to do. Now, this is the guy's journal from the same day. Rough day. Boat wouldn't start. Can't figure out why.
Right? And the reason that we laugh at that story is because we've all been there so many times that there are those subtexts, things that are going on that we wish we could find a way to really communicate well, but somehow it just doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it can really build some misunderstandings. And just as in your story with the journal, it can really cause anxiety, right? Especially, we know from research that ladies very quickly start to ask themselves, what did I do wrong, right? We have ink on the paper, academic research that says a woman's heart very quickly goes, what mood is he in? What have I done wrong? How have I messed up? Very much like that story. And so communication, it's not just about exchanging information, but it's about having that healthy lack of anxiety in the relationship, that we can trust each other, things are going well. It really builds that up.
Yeah, and if a couple can communicate well, man, they can deal with some big problems in life, and they can be successful. They can move forward. They can have a healthy, thriving relationship. But if a couple can't communicate well, even the tiniest things can just throw them off track.
Yeah, I have a friend who says, if you can read, you could technically make your way through an entire library. But if you can't read, you can't make your way through a single book. And that's what we're talking about. If I have the skill of communication, there's a lot that I can do. I can take it a piece at a time. I can break it down a piece at a time, and we can work on those things. But if we don't have communication, even small things, and we experienced this in the past, even little things become really big problems.
Yeah, well, our hope tonight is, and here's the hopeful part, to give you guys a little bit of guidance on how to communicate better. Now, we have not always been pros at this. Like I said earlier, we've been married almost 20 years in November. And in the beginning of our relationship, communication was a huge struggle for me and Jonathan. If any of you guys have read his books or been to some of the other talks we've done, you'll know, we sometimes couldn't make it a weekend without fighting. Well, most of the times in the beginning of our marriage, we couldn't make it a weekend.
Well, it was kind of like a high five moment if we made it through a weekend without a big fight. It was like, wow, we did it,
Yeah.
But that conflict really came from...
We're going to communicate. No, go ahead. The conflict
really came from a lack of communication,
well, yeah.
I think, in most cases.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The fact that we did have so much conflict is that we weren't communicating. And so, we are much better at it today.
But not perfect.
Yeah. The gym story?
Yeah, I'll tell about the gym story.
Okay, tell the gym story.
I was at the gym. This has only been
like 2 days ago.
2 days ago. So it was a very recent illustration. It wasn't in the original workup, but... So I'm trying to lose weight. As you can see, it's happening very slowly. But I'm going to the gym and I'm trying to get into a workout regimen. There's one machine that just always gets my number. Like, I have a really hard time with this machine, and it is the stair climbing machine. Have you seen those things where you just climb an infinite number of stairs? It's really, there's something sadistic about it, really. So whoever designed it has, maybe some issues there, but the first time I went to the gym, I remember that just even doing 5 minutes, 6 minutes on that machine was killing me. Yeah. And then I started getting to where I could do more and more. Now I'm able to do about an hour on that machine when I go. And so I was pushing really hard. It was like 58 minutes.
I did not know this.
Into this stair climbing thing. And I'm pushing hard to get those final 2 minutes out so I can finish that hour-long workout. And my wife calls. Now, I have the little air, whatever they are, in my ears, so I can answer the phone call. So I do, because I'm a good husband. I'm going to answer the call. She has something she needs to tell me, right? And I had the impression that we could have a 10-second conversation because, I'm out of breath and I'm wanting to finish out this workout. But a 10-second conversation wasn't really what your agenda was.
Well, no, I had some questions that I needed to ask you. It was about work stuff but I had to give you background before I asked the questions.
Tell me how you felt about asking the questions.
Yeah, and you were sounding a little miffed or peeved, but I guess in reality it was because you were at 58 minutes of, the stair wall thing.
But I might have been peeved, who knows? But the thing about it is, this is a good illustration of the fact that we have such different expectations from communication. And we know this, right? And we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, that even men and women have very different expectations about communication.
Yeah.
But there's a verse from Proverbs that we've always tried to center on. Whenever we're trying to work on our own communication or we're trying to help others with communication, this verse in Proverbs 16 is key for us.
Yeah, and it says intelligent people think before they speak. Seems easy, right? But it's a little easier said than done.
Another way of putting it is that the quality of your communication is at the mercy of the quality of your forethought. The quality of your communication is at the mercy of the quality of your forethought. The extent to which I think about this before I speak is the extent to which I'm going to be successful in this conversation. Which is why we thought, hey, maybe we could just take 12 years of working with couples, think about, if you were like, okay, well, I'm game to think before I speak, but what do I think about? Like, what are some specific things that I can put into play, especially related specifically to marital communication? And that's what we put together. Because we could have we could probably do a whole seminar, like
a whole weekend conference.
Days on communication. So we're just going to hit the high points. Some of our favorite advice that we've given over the years to couples, that's where we're going with the rest of our time together.
Yeah, so we've got 3 things to tell you about in the remaining time. The first thing is, and I know you're going to go, duh, Wendy, when I tell you this, but men and women communicate differently.
Yeah, I know, that's a shocker, right? You're very surprised, right? But it actually is embedded in the science, right? One of the things that is interesting, if you talk to men or women about their days, guys are very matter of fact and it's very bullet pointed. I'm going to tell you about my day. She's very story oriented. Everything is in story form. It's all in a narrative. It's all in order. You can't skip in the narrative. You can't go from one point to another. It all has to be kind of chronological, right? And all the details and as our friends say, the bunny trails that come as part of that. But what Deborah Tannen, who is a famous social psychology researcher, how she made sense of it is she said that men and women communicate differently. He communicates with something we call report talk. She communicates with something she calls rapport talk.
Yeah, and the report talk is what men do, and that's more about just exchanging content.
Yeah, it's like the bottom line. And if, as a matter of fact, some of your husbands, ladies, may have said that at some point, like, get to the bottom line. I just want to know if the house burned down at the end of the story, right? I'm interested in knowing what the bottom line out of this is, right? But when guys talk to guys, this is what they do. When guys talk to guys, they exchange content. As a matter of fact, Deborah Tannen in her book says that guys have a form of public speaking. It's almost as though it's always for the crowd and it's always about the exchange of information, while ladies, on the other hand, it's more of a private speaking and it's more of a relational thing, which Wendy will talk about in a second. But the other thing is that guys, one of the things we know from research is that guys feel like if I'm going to say something, it needs to rise to the level of being important enough to talk about, which is one of the reasons why, Wendy will ask me, so how did your day go? And I'll be like, it's good, She's like, well, how are you feeling today? Good, not hungry, pretty good. But that's because in a guy's world, it's like, I don't really have anything that is bubbling up to the level of importance that it's like, oh, I need to exchange this information with you. I need to give you this content, right? Whereas for a woman to just be that short and be like, I'm fine, that would make no sense because that's not how she communicates.
Yeah, and so the way that ladies typically communicate, and let me take a step back here before I tell you how ladies typically communicate. We realize there are enough couples in here that some of you guys may be the opposite. For some things, Jonathan tends to be the opposite, and I tend to be the opposite.
She's saying that in some ways I'm the girl in this relationship.
I wasn't going to say that.
At least that's the impression I was getting.
I wasn't going to say that. But some of them, some of you may be flip-flop, but typically this is the way it goes. So let's go back to that. Ladies, typically we do what's called rapport talk. And rapport talk is an energizing connection. Think about it this way. You take your cell phone home and you plug it in so that it has energy when you need to connect with someone. And that is what that rapport talk is. It's us, sitting across from each other talking about really anything. It doesn't have to be anything specific because what we're talking about is not the important thing. It's who we're talking to that's important.
One of my favorite researchers says that women build the structure of their relationships with conversation. It's a very interesting thought, that women build the structure of their relationships with conversation. So that's why it's so important. Now, we've already said guys are kind of like report talk, ladies are kind of report talk, and that's research that's been around for a long time. But we wanted to talk about, so how do you bridge the gap? I mean, we put, a report talker and a report talker in the same sandbox. How do they play well together? And we could spend the whole night, coming up with ideas for that, but we want to just give you a couple of important tips that might help.
Yeah, so guys, listen up. If you're not listening to anything else tonight, guys, listen to this. Your nonverbal communication tells her whether or not there's a connection between the two of you. Okay, did you hear that? Can I please say it again?
Go ahead.
Can I say it to you? Your nonverbal communication tells her whether you are feeling connected or not. He's really good about it, just every now and then.
I didn't used to be. But what Wendy just did actually is a good example of the three things that we now know from research. You guys probably get, I'm a little bit of a research geek. That's part of being in the psychology world and being in the ministry world at the same time. But there are three things that we know are incredibly important body language cues to ladies when it comes to communication. One is eye contact, right? And eye contact in a female world, it doesn't work this way necessarily, guys talking to each other. But in a female world, eye contact says, what you have to say is important to me. I'm paying attention to what you have to say because it's valuable to me, right? The second thing is the direction of my body. So there is a human nature thing that's built into us that says if their body is oriented toward me, they're paying attention to me. On the other hand, a lot of us think we can communicate with each other while we're walking around and doing stuff and we're not even directed at them at all, right? What that actually says is that I actually need to multitask right now, so you have about 30% of my attention, so go for it. So that's the second thing. And then finally, so we talk about eye contact, we talk about our body position. The third thing is technology. So we're now learning that maybe one of the most powerful cues to say, I'm not invested in what you're trying to tell me, is to have our face embedded in technology while the other person's trying to talk to us. And that's something I really struggle with, right? Because I'm constantly on a computer. I have like 10 computers in my life. And so when Wendy looks at me, 90% of the time, I have my head down like this, and she sees, this is not very sexy here, this bald spot, right? So this is all she really sees. But truthfully, one of the most important things I can do with body language is to put the tech away. If she's trying to talk to me, it's really important to put the tech away so that she knows she has my complete attention.
Yeah, and that's for ladies too, because who of us hasn't had our phone up in front of our face when our husband's trying to talk to us? So
one more thing I would like to mention, because sometimes I have guys that will tell me, she just doesn't stop. She has so much to say, so many things. People are like, well, what was she talking about? And I'm like, everything, But the thing about it is, remember that in the scripture, we're told that our marriage is to be a picture of Christ in the church. Guys, your role is to play out that picture of the Christ figure. And you know what? In the scripture, the Bible says that we are to pray continually to God, that we're to continually bring our burdens, we're to continually bring the stuff, important, non-important, in the middle, to God. And so part of playing that role and providing half of the picture of the bride of Christ in his church is saying she has access to me. If she has stuff that's super important to talk about, stuff that's just kind of everyday stuff to talk about, whatever, she has that open access to me. And we know from the last 10 years of research that when two spouses feel they have access to each other, they can talk about anything, those marriages tend to be the healthiest that are measured.
all right, ladies, it's your turn. Listen to this. If you really want your guy to open up to you, tell you what he's thinking, feeling, dreaming, and connect with you, you may need to try a different context for your conversation.
Well, sometimes ladies accidentally put a lot of pressure on the conversation. Because ladies, you can call another lady friend up and be like, hey, let's go to Starbucks and let's just, talk. And they'll go to Starbucks and they'll sit across from a table and make eye contact at each other, and sometimes one will sort of reach out and touch the other person's hand and it'll be this very, wonderful, it could be a 2-hour conversation or whatever. But guys don't do this. We don't, our friend Les Parrott says, guys don't call up other guys and say, hey, do you want to go talk? Like, it's just not what we do, right? guys talk in the context of some other activity, right? And often these are shoulder-to-shoulder activities. It may be a project. It may be taking a walk, doing some exercise. It may be working on something that's important around the house, doing a remodel, something like that. But whatever it is, often it is in the context of doing another task that his heart will really open up and he'll begin to talk to you about stuff. We were talking to one couple who we were sharing this information with some time ago, and she said, well, he likes to go fishing, and so I've been going fishing with him. The only problem is now I can't shut him up and the fish aren't biting, because you're not supposed to talk, but he talks the whole time when we're out there. So I think it's really important to understand that for guys, because here's the deal, for ladies, there does not have to be any other feature. The conversation can be the foreground. That's no problem. For guys, conversations are rarely the foreground. There's usually something else going on in the foreground, the conversation becomes the background. So understanding that can be really helpful in building those meaningful talks.
Yeah. All right. Thing number 2 to think about tonight. Certain communication habits are toxic.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer to talk about in the middle of a talk about communication, but the truth is we do know there are certain habits that we can get into. Some of them maybe you witness between your parents, maybe you've seen other people do it, however we pick them up, but these habits can become really, really negative in relationships. And we've actually talked about this before at retreats and other things, but Dr. John Gottman, famous yeoman researcher out of University of Washington, did something nobody had ever done before. He found thousands of couples who were getting ready to get married, and he got their permission to follow them for as long as possible to learn about their marriages and to find out which marriages made it, which marriages didn't make it, which marriages turned out to be happy, which ones didn't turn out to be happy. But by following the same couples, we'd actually be able to learn something. When he wrote his most famous book, it was about 30 years into the study. Now he's 50 years, I think, into following these couples. But one of the things that he was able to do from the communication model we're getting ready to talk to you about, from watching 15 minutes of communication with a couple, looking for these things that we're talking about, he was able to predict successfully who would get divorced and who would not get divorced with 96% accuracy. 96% is incredible. We don't get those kind of predictive values in the social sciences. It's unreal. So we want to share with you these 4 things that he calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and about how we can fight back against these things in our communication.
Yeah, so we're going to share those, and then we're also going to share the antidote to those so you guys know what to do instead of those toxic things. So the first toxic thing is criticism. And criticism is defined as any statement or attitude that communicates that the other person is globally defective.
Yeah, so Dr. Gottman likes to explain it in this way. He says, if the problem that we're dealing with were personified by a soccer ball, and Wendy and I are kicking that soccer ball back and forth, that's a healthy conflict conversation. We're each taking a turn at addressing the problem. But if I were to somehow try to take that soccer ball and shove it inside Wendy and say, guess where the problem is? It's inside you. That's criticism. So I'm saying this is what's broken with you. You are the problem. You're always late. You're never on time. You're a jerk. You're a drama queen. You're an idiot. Name calling is always criticism. Always and never is criticism. You always do this, you never do that. And here's what's interesting about that. You are absolutely destined for an argument. The moment that you criticize somebody, you're absolutely destined for an argument. Here's why. Because you may believe that they're defective in that way, but guess who doesn't believe they're defective in that way? They don't believe it, and you're gonna end up going like this the whole time. And so criticism is a great fight starter, and if we can get out of that critical nature, we can actually have some good conversations.
Yeah, but what we can do instead of criticize is we can complain. So
yeah, Dr. Gottman says complaining is fine, which is good because I'm a complainer. But he says, look, complaining is fine. And what he means by that is that a complaint is specific, it's situational, it's not personal. It's about what happened and how it made me feel. It's not about what's wrong with you. It's about the thing that happened, right? So, and by the way, in a marriage where you can't complain, well, that's not a healthy marriage, right? You have 2 imperfect people. Somebody's got to be able to complain sometime, right? The issue is that we don't make it personal. So the difference would be instead of saying, why do you got to be a jerk all the time and be late to things? It could be, hey, when we were late to that thing the other day, that really bothered me, and I really wish we wouldn't be late in the future. And one way you can accomplish moving from criticism to complaint is using something we call the Xyz Formula. Actually, Dr. Gottman developed this some years ago.
Yeah, and so he says, in situation X, when you do Y, I feel Z.
Yeah, so when maybe you would say, when we were at dinner the other night, and you made that joke, but it kind of felt like you were sort of making a joke at my expense, I felt really hurt. Right? Now, here's what's really powerful. Make sure that you actually use an emotion and not another criticism, because a lot of people will accidentally stick another criticism in there. When we were at the restaurant the other day and you made a joke at my expense, it made me feel like you're such a nutcase, you know? Well, we're right back to where we started, right? But if we use real emotion words, it made me feel hurt, sad, angry, frustrated, right? The beauty of that is that it's not something you can argue with. No, you don't feel hurt. Right? You can't argue with that, right? You can't argue with someone's feelings. So using that XYZ formula can be a really great way to escape that criticism trap.
All right, well, quickly, defensiveness is the second horseman of the apocalypse. And defensiveness is just a refusal to accept responsibility and a shifting of blame to the other person. And criticism often leads straight into defensiveness.
Yeah, so if I feel criticized, it's just natural for me to say, guess what? It's not my problem, it's your problem. So I'm gonna say, you know, whatever it is that you're hitting me with, I don't think you're right. And by the way, I think the big problem here is you. And then we get into this criticism and defensiveness tailspin. When the antidote to that is being humble and saying, look, it's feasible that maybe I don't know the extent of my role in this, right? Because defensiveness always says, I'm blameless. Defensiveness says, I'm blameless. But humility says, maybe I play a bigger role in this than I know. I'm willing to talk to you about it. I'm willing to discuss this. I'm willing to examine my own responsibility here. And then by doing that, we become a safe person for our spouse.
Yeah. All right, contempt. Contempt is seeing yourself as better than the other person.
Yeah, every once in a while, somebody just gets to a point where they're like, I am so much better than my spouse. They're a terrible human being, you know? Mm-hmm. And actually, there are some communication things that always read contempt, like, for instance, sarcasm. Sarcasm is contemptuous, right? Now, I'm not talking about kind of fun sarcasm where we're kind of, you know...
In a joking
way. I'm talking about the sarcasm that stings. When we do that, it's always a form of contempt. I see myself as better than you. Here's what's really cool, though. It took us until 1996 to find out how powerful contempt is. In Dr. Gottman's research, he said it's the number one indicator of a marriage headed for divorce. A culture of contempt. Two people continuously viewing themselves as better than the other person is the number one indicator that a relationship's headed toward a divorce. But here's what's interesting. In Ephesians 5:21, thousands of years before Gottman's research, the Apostle Paul said that we are to submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And really the idea there is we're to value each other more highly than ourselves. Not because the other person is more valuable than me, but because human nature is to devalue others. And so the way we reverse the curse is to intentionally value the other person more than ourselves. And that really is the antidote for dealing with contempt.
Yeah. Lastly, stonewalling. Stonewalling is like intentionally turning away from your spouse's bids for connection.
Yeah, so bid for connection, that's a Gottman term. I'm not sure it's a terribly wonderful brand, but it works. That in our relationships, all of us, all the time, we're making an attempt to connect with the other person, just to make sure they're responsive, just to make sure that they're there, right? We want to make sure that, you know, everything is okay. And in fights even, we call these repair attempts, that in a fight, there may be some very neutral conversation, you know, hey, look at the weed outside the window. It's grown up fast this year. Completely neutral comment, but often a person will make a comment like that just to reach out and see, hey, are we still connected? Are we still talking, right? Stonewalling is, I see that person trying to make a bid for connection with me, and I'm gonna intentionally wall myself off from them. So in effect, I'm trying to hurt them by saying, you can't get to me. I'm not accessible to you. I'm not available to you. And it's very much like a stone wall. It's a great word for it.
Yeah. And really, the biggest antidote that we can offer for you guys to this is to ask God to give you an open heart towards your spouse. Because truly, sometimes when we're in that mode of stonewalling, nothing is going to break through unless God does the breaking through.
Yeah, and you know, some of you are in this room, you're going, oh no, we have some of this stuff in our relationship. Well, we all do. We all have some of this stuff in our relationship. It's like weeds in a garden. If you don't have weeds, you probably don't have a garden. But you don't want to let the weeds be there. You want to be intentionally, consistently getting that out of there. And that's what we're talking about with these 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's normal to have some of this stuff, but you need to be very careful about how do we pull the weeds of bad communication in our relationship.
Yeah, all right, well, we're going to end on something positive. So great listeners are always great communicators.
Yeah, so when we talk about things to think about, if you forget everything else, the number one thing to think about before you speak is I should be more of a listener than a speaker. That is a powerful, powerful thing. James 1:19 says this, we're to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Some people have quipped that that's why we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, that it's far better for us to listen than to speak, because the more we can learn, then the better prepared we are to communicate. And I was reading a book some time ago, because we're gonna teach you one little skill before we're done here. And I didn't used to teach this skill in seminars and nights like this. I would do it in like training sessions on communication, but it's become such a big deal to people that we've decided we would even fold it into this. But I was reading a textbook on psychotherapy, and this has been some years ago. And the book had to do with what we call common factors. See, there's all kinds of different models of therapy, all kinds of different ways that therapists do their job. But there are certain things that all therapists kind of do somewhat in common. And the book was trying to figure out how much of success in therapy is due to those common factors. And what they found it was roughly 36%. That is a big chunk of effectiveness that is really the same regardless of model. And here's what the author found. It was mostly about empathic, reflective listening, which every therapist is taught how to do. Now, the thing about it is, believe it or not, there's actually a kind of a model that counselors and therapists, and even now we know some TV interviewers like on 60 Minutes have been taught this same model. We thought, how cool would it be to just give you the super quick version of how to do this in your marriage? Because, I mean, some people are paying good money to sit across from somebody because they need somebody to listen empathically to them.
Yeah.
We can give you a little guidance in how to do this in your relationship.
And be there for your spouse. Maybe you can be the one who's empathically listening to them.
So this is a reflective listening model. You're going to do 3 things, right? These 3 things, if you learn how to do this, you will make yourself indispensable to people in communication. The first thing is you're going to listen for meaning. You're not going to listen for words. I don't know if any of you have ever had that technique taught to you where you try to remember exactly what the other person said, and then you go back to them at, well, what I heard you say is this, and then you repeat back the same words. Is that not the most annoying thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life? None of us wants to have somebody parrot back to us exactly what we said. We want to know, do they get what I meant? So we listen for meaning. What is it that they mean by what they're saying to me? And we really are trying to digest the whole time they're talking. What do they mean? What do they mean? The second step is I'm going to offer up to them a humble guess about what they meant. Is this what you meant? Is this, is this what you're trying to tell me? But I have to be careful with how I do that. Because let's say Wendy says to me, Jonathan, I really did not like that you left your socks all over the floor, right? And we have that conversation. We've had it a couple times. We have that conversation, and I say to her, so you're saying that really bothers you, right? If I do that, she's going to give me a really fast answer, and it's going to be my turn to talk again. This is what is so powerful. At the end of the reflection that I'm going to teach you how to do, you're going to put a period instead of a question mark. This is just the way the English language works. That if I use a statement instead of a question, I will tell her it's your turn to talk again, right? So if she comes to me and says, I really hate that you left your socks on the floor, and I say to her, that really frustrated you. I'm going down with my tone of voice. It tells her, this is just part of our English syntax, it tells her it's your turn to talk again. So we're gonna do this. Up here, this is going to be the close of our talk, so we're going to show you how to do this. We're going to make this a little fun, right? So I'm going to let you guys call out what's something what's something Wendy could be mad at me about. I'm on my cell phone. Okay, that's just very realistic. Okay. Did you two talk before this?
No, we didn't, I promise.
Well, just wondering. Okay, so Wendy's going to talk to me about being on my cell phone, and all I'm going to do are the 3 things I just told you. I'm going to listen for meaning. I'm going to offer to her humble guesses about what it is that she's trying to say, and I'm going to say it in a form of a sentence to give her a chance to go further into it. And you'll see a little bit of how this works. Go ahead.
So yesterday when we were in the office, and I was trying to tell you about something I needed for this weekend for the event. You were, sitting there on your cell phone, you were sort of talking, but you were on your cell phone, like emailing somebody for work or something.
You really needed me to be focused on the married life stuff at that time.
Well, yeah, I was not happy because I had some urgent stuff that I had to make some decisions on right away, and it was kind of stressing me out because it was important to me, and you were on your phone.
You were feeling a lot of pressure, and you kind of needed me to be more in line with what you were dealing with.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, and plus I just, I wanted to make sure that you were okay with the decision I was gonna make so that it, after the fact, if I made the decision, it didn't, turn out wrong or you would be disappointed with it or something.
You didn't want there to be, conflict between you and me because something happened that I didn't like later, but I wasn't involved with it at the time.
Yeah, because, I don't like conflict between you and me. I like things to be good.
Right, so see... That
worked out okay.
Yeah, that was fun. That was good.
Thanks, that was good.
We'll put a pin in that and come back to the rest of it later.
We'll come back to that later.
But what I'm showing you here is something that any couple can do, anybody can do, if you actually take the time to reflect what your spouse is telling you. And here's what's so powerful about that. A good conversation is like taking a walk, right? But what happens is the average wife says something to her husband and then looks at him like, all right, you coming along? And instead, he's way off over here. Well, that's kind of like what happened to me that one time, blah, 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 and we go off in another direction. But same thing happens when he's saying something and she goes off in another direction. Reflective listening, what happens is one of you takes a step and says, here's what I'm feeling, here's what's going on, and you look at the other person, and the other person reflects that back to you, and it's like, okay, we can take another step. And you actually start to get somewhere because you can go deeper into the content. That may be the most powerful thing that we've done to improve our communication over the years, and it may be the most powerful thing that you can do. Try it when you're not fighting.
Yeah.
First. Try it, just basic reflection about basic stuff and see what happens. Now, last thing before we have the band come back out is this. We know every time we talk about communication that there's a room full of people that are at different places. Some of you are at a great place in the communication in your relationship, and everything that we told you tonight just kind of affirms that you're kind of on the right path. Some of you in this room, you're kind of like, it's okay, but we need to do some growing, we need to do some working on it. But there are a few people in this room who would say, not only is communication not good, I'm not holding out hope that my spouse really wants to work on it. I don't know that it's going to get better. And the thing that we want to remind you is that even when communication is not what it should be with our spouse, that we still have a great God that we can communicate with. There have been plenty of times early on in our marriage where Wendy was praying to God for me and about me because our communication was broken down. So just remember that even when our communication is broken, we still have a God who's always waiting to hear from us and that we can always pour our heart out to. And on that topic, we asked the band if they would come out and just lead us in a quick song to remind us about the fact that God is always on the line, ready to talk to us no matter what.
Thanks, guys.
Well, y'all can stand up for this one. We're gonna shut it down. Move with us, dance a little bit, because it just goes. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. We can tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, and he will answer by and by. And when you feel a little prayer returning, then you know a little fire is burning. We say, just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Oh. that tonight we might have let Jesus out, and we might need to let him back into some of those relationships. So right now, if you just need to call out to him, we got this reminder for you. We know that he'll make it all right. Yes, he will, yes, he'll make it all right. Oh, he'll make it all right. Oh, we know he can. He'll make it all right. Oh, just a little talk with Jesus. Just a little talk with Jesus. Just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. All right. Well, God bless you guys. Thank you for joining us here at Married Life Live. Blessings as you go. We hope to see you soon. Band, let's kick it back up now as they walk out of here. Hey!